Week 1 is providing us a lot of excellent QB matchups, and this matchup between Josh Allen and Kyler Murray is no different. I believe this game is going to be much closer than people initially believe, especially too if you look at the betting markets. And Ryan and I, we are going to break down this game and give you our predictions at the very end of the video. So be sure to stay tuned. And if you want to keep seeing videos from us throughout the entire season, we have weekly prediction videos. Be sure to subscribe to the Tracy Take and leave a like and a comment and let us know who you think is going to win between the Arizona Cardinals and Buffalo Bills. Ryan, this is going to be an absolutely fun game here between these two teams. Week 1, anything can happen, and I think this Cardinals team is going to be one of the more underrated teams, but a potential surprise coming into January of the season as teams are going on to the playoffs here. What are your thoughts on the Cardinals and the Bills entering this Week 1 matchup?
Yeah, I mean, starting off with the away team here with the Arizona Cardinals, I think that this is a team that last year just lacked talent. They had so much energy and fight that they were competitive in a lot of games. But I think especially when you saw them go up against some of the top teams in their divisions, the Rams, the 49ers, and like they could keep it close, and then they just got out talented there at the end, and they fought, like they played so hard, and they were such a fun team to watch. Now this year, I think they're starting to build up that talent. You look at Marvin Harrison Jr. They got Darius Robinson. They had, I believe, 13 draft picks this offseason. So like a lot of young talent. Most of those guys look like they made the roster. And so I really am looking forward to seeing this Arizona Cardinals team and kind of what they can do going forward. Just if Jonathan Gannon can get this team to play with that much energy all the time and still be able to compete on the talent side, I think they could win a lot more games this year. My big thing in this matchup, going kind of over to the Buffalo Bills, I think the Buffalo Bills are adopting more of a physical mentality, and they're going to want to bring a lot of physicality into this matchup specifically because the Arizona Cardinals had the 32nd ranked run defense last year, and I know they made some moves on the defensive line to hopefully improve that. However, the Buffalo Bills were one of the best running teams last year, and you look, the interior of that offensive line is pretty solid for the Buffalo Bills. They went out, they got some bigger physical receivers in Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, I believe Mac Hollins as well. And so like they're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets with Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid as well. And so I think physicality is going to have a big impact on this matchup. Defensively, this defensive line is okay for the Buffalo Bills, maybe a little bit better than average. And yeah, like we'll just have to see how this Cardinals offensive line holds up. I am also excited to see Kyler Murray in his first full season back from a torn ACL because he did have some good performances last year, but you could see that he was knocking off the rust a bit at times. So Week 1, anything could happen. And I think both of these teams have some questions about them coming into this year that I think they would love to answer.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting, too, because the Bills I still consider as one of the top teams in the AFC, and the Cardinals, as you talked about, I think offensively, I think they're going to shock a lot of people here, especially too, if you kind of look into the stats overall on their overall performance. And we're going to get into that here in a second, break down a little bit more. But first, let's take a quick look at what the betting odds are saying right now in terms of who's favorite. And I will say, if you do like to put a couple bucks down on the game, go ahead and check the link down below in the description box here. BetUS is where the link will be taking you. But also, they have a bunch of fun promotions going on right now for people who will be first-time players at their site that you're not going to want to miss. And so, you want to check out these odds here. As of right now, it looks like the recording of this video, the Bills-Cardinals game. Bills are 6-point favorites with the over-under at 48.5. I will say 6 points, that's a lot. That's a touchdown. And to me, I'm looking at it, the Cardinals could win this game, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll disagree with you a little bit when it comes. I think the Bills, actually, their front seven, I think, is actually what makes their defense so good. I think their secondary last year was extremely injured. I think they're able to provide a lot of pressure overall in that front seven. And now on the flip side, though, Cardinals, I think, were 4th overall in rushing yards last season. James Conner still missed 4 games, and so now they're going to have a healthy Kyler Murray. They're going to be bringing on their future James Conner and Trey Benson. So I think it's going to be a great tandem there. James Conner's one of the most underrated running backs in the league, I will say. It's just unfortunate he's been on some horrible teams. But now you're going to have Kyler Murray, though, throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you're still going to have Trey McBride. You have Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch, who I think are going to be good role players to consider the situation. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have it's going to be the first NFL game, so I won't talk too highly of it, but I think there's going to be some good matchups that they will be using Marvin Harrison Jr. in my opinion. And then on the flip side as well, kind of what you were talking about, though, where the Bills, I think, are going to be favored is the fact, like, I agree with you, they're going to be much more physical overall. I think they're going to be probably one of the more top running teams statistically in the league. And I think that's really going to be where you are going to want to take it after this Cardinals team. That's where I still think they're a little bit lacking overall. They've made some improvements, yes, but still just not great. And that offensive line, I can see that offensive line just slowly, like trench warfare, just slowly moving the ball down the field against this team. And then there are going to be opportunities, I think, for big plays and that's going to suck in the play action. Josh Allen's going to have Dalton Kincaid, as you talked about, Khalil Shakur, and then even Curtis Samuel, who I really like that pickup as well. So it's going to be a very unique game as both of these teams are going to be coming at that atmosphere, or coming at the idea of running the ball first with few explosive plays in between. I think the Cardinals are going to have some more explosive plays in them just with the ability of Kyler Murray and also Marvin Harrison Jr. But defensively, though, I think that Bills front seven is going to be, I think, the big X factor because if they can stymie this much improved Arizona Cardinals offensive line, they can stymie the run a little bit, make them a little bit more predictable, and put them in a little bit more predictable situations like 2nd and 10 or 3rd and 7 or something like that. They might be able to put their ears back a little bit and just rush 4 while still dropping back 7 and have a couple guys to guard Marvin Harrison Jr. and some of the other guys. That's going to be the big X factor. The Cardinals are able to do exactly what the Bills are able to do on the offensive side of the ball. I can see this being a shootout's a weird word for a game where two teams are going to run the ball pretty heavily, but I can see this being like an 8 touchdown game, like 8 total touchdowns, where it's like 28-28 or something like that. And whereas these two teams just methodically move the ball down the field with their effectiveness. So do you agree with that? Do you?
Yeah. I do want to touch on one point. So the Bills had the 15th ranked rushing defense, which is just like ever so slightly above average. They were 4th in sacks last year, but they did lose Leonard Floyd and Matt Milano as well. So that is kind of why I had the opinion of they're probably a slightly above average.
That's fair. Thank you for adding that.
So I think the Bills are going to win. I think they're all in all just going to be a more talented team. I don't know if this young Cardinals team will necessarily be able to solve the puzzle that is Josh Allen in this offense, because as much as they started to run the ball downhill last year, there was still the fair share of Josh Allen. Well, I'm just going to run outside of the pocket, and if no one's open, I'm going to get 8 yards or break tackles and get 35. Like, it's just this weird. It's a hard puzzle to solve, and I just don't know if this Cardinals team is quite cut out for that just yet. But I do think this is probably an upset alert for a lot of true like betting people out there.
Especially +6. I think this is going to be much closer. Yeah. I mean, +6 really is. I mean, losing by 7 points is still a pretty close game if you go look at the final score. I really, really want to pick Arizona here, but. I just think the Bills' defense is just a little bit better overall, and that's where I think that they're going to be kind of stymied. I think the Bills are going to have a little bit easier time running the ball against this Cardinals front, and Cardinals are going to play super hard. And I believe the Cardinals are going to have a winning record this year, potentially actually even be vying for a playoff spot. Kind of as we see this team keep growing, especially too. Very curious to see what Jonathan Gannon is able to do with Kyler Murray, but more what Kyler Murray is able to do not under Cliff Kingsbury type offense. So I think seeing him develop is going to be crucial for this Cardinals team. It's also they're paying them a lot of money too. But I'm reluctantly also going to go with the Bills here. That +6 though, I will say might have to take a look at that just for myself. So. Because that's kind of a little tempting, I will say. But I'm going to go with Buffalo here. It's going to be on the lower. I say lower because I said 8 touchdowns earlier. I'll go 28-24. I think that's going to be the difference. Maybe the Cardinals don't get a touchdown.
I was going to say 27-21 Buffalo.
Perfect.
So I think there'll be a couple field goals here and there, but all in all, I think the Bills are just going to be the slightly more physical team, which usually equates to a win. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup between the Arizona Cardinals and the Buffalo Bills. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.